how it is supposed to work is that you have the Emergency Management Civil Protection Act, and there are two sections, 7.0.1 and 7.0.2 in the Emergency Management Civil Protection Act, to declare an emergency and to create orders. And then that would get, so the emergency would get declared under the EMCPA, which would invoke the Reopen Ontario Act, which has the regulations. But because the emergency was revoked on June 9th of 2021, they created Bill 97 to create a new bill that doesn't need an emergency to have regulations.
So are we in a federal emergency?
No, we're not in any emergency.
Zero? Nothing?
No, we're not in any emergency. And something else that's really interesting is that the national, the NACI, the national,
assholes.
National assholes, yeah. It's the national, I forget what the A stands for, but the Immunization Committee. So the NACI, the NACI. You'll hear this mentioned a lot now when they're talking about vaccines, in particular if you're watching anything to do with the federal government in any of the discussions, they'll mention this group. What's really interesting about this group is that if you go and look at their, it's called a workflow. In the workflow, you will see COVID-19 vaccines, but it states that the what do they call it? It's basically the not the parameter, but it's yeah, it's the thing that you need to make it invoke, like the thing to invoke it is a public yeah, like a requirement. But it's not the right word, yeah, but that works. That works. Thank you. Sounds like you know. Anyway, so in this national committee on immunizations, it's NACI. In the workflow, COVID-19 vaccines, and then talks about policies and rollouts. And for the part to invoke it, it states a public health emergency. Where's the public health emergency? Where's the emergency?
We're dying on the street. Yeah, we're all dying on the street.
Yeah, right. Well, some people still think we are.
But I might have got hugged a little too tight a few times.
So I know the Emergency Act was revoked, but wasn't there a provincial health emergency when COVID first came?
Yeah, that was revoked on June 9th of 2021, and they replaced it with Bill 97, so that they don't need the EMCPA anymore. They don't need a declared emergency anymore. So we're in a perpetual state of emergency. Because what they did was they took 7.0.2, which is the declared emergency.
Shouldn't we be fighting that passed bill? Shouldn't we be emailing our MPs or entities?
We should be firing them is what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night, guys, on the Stand4Thee Zoom, we've got a couple of folks coming in to talk about hashtag Take Back Your City, which is going after city council seats. There's so many vacant. These city councilors are running. They're running like little cockroach. Yeah, they're done. They're done.
Yeah.
Some of them are going for MPP, like the woman in my riding area in Toronto, who, by the way, I used to have a condo in Ground Central of fentanyl overdoses, and they put in a safe injection site before there were never needles in that area. And they put in a safe injection site, and now there's needles everywhere and people dying. You know what this woman's solution was? Give them better drugs.
Oh,
give them better drugs. Don't help them. Give them better drugs. Yeah, like. Yeah, oh, of course. Well, the province put them in. Actually, it was Doug Ford that put it in. There's 9 of them in downtown Toronto that's in the past. During the pandemic, when people were overdosing, let's put more in, right?
In Gatineau, they're doing the same. They opened a new area where they can go sleep. But the other place, you weren't allowed to go sleep if you were under influence of alcohol or drugs. So they opened a new place where it doesn't matter.
They call them wet shelters.
And there's a lot of suicide and overdose.
They want that.
They want that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll
label
totally
it all preventable.
100%
preventable. Yeah. Stop giving people synthetic opiates for one. Because there's a big difference between synthetic and natural. So stop. And then, people go in with with an injury, and then they give them these drugs, and next thing you know, they're hooked.
They're hooked, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
Oxycontin
there's a reason why.
Also, really hard on your system. I had more grief over hydromorphine than I did from the actual injury.
Was that offered for you, Jane, as part of your shoulder injury?
Yeah, and they didn't tell me what it was. They they didn't tell me any side effects. They didn't tell me what it was. It's just, here, take this.
No.
And then I started getting.
I had amnesia after, and they don't tell you that. And I actually did, after my surgery, I had really bad memory issues because when you take this drug, it's so awful. I don't know how people get addicted to this shit. You would take it because you're in pain, you have to, so you take it. But then, so they would give me a shot of hydromorphone, but then they'd have to give me a shot of anti-nausea at the same time. And then you would take it, and you could still feel the pain, but it was just, you were so fucked up in your head, you didn't feel it. You couldn't really sleep, even though you weren't awake. It was like this weird dream state all the time. And
I'm a truck driver, I know all about that.
it took me a long time to separate those dream states from reality.
Right.
And sometimes I would only be able to figure out it was a dream because that wasn't possible to happen in real life. And then I had a lot of memory issues, and I actually had amnesia, and like a moment of amnesia. I didn't know where I was. And then I did the research because I only, I got off of it as fast as I could. I only took it as much as I needed to, and I just cut myself off. So I looked it up and realized that it's actually a side effect. And to James' point, no one ever said, hey, you might have memory issues. So I wasn't prepared for what happened, like the aftermath. And it was terrifying to not know where I am. So they just gave it up.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we are. So we're going to wrap up for you folks on the Zoom. Thank you, everyone. And as I mentioned, we're on for tomorrow at 9 o'clock. 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we'll have some folks on there with hashtag Take Back Your City. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Jane.
Yeah. Good night, all.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, everyone.
Hashtag we got this.
Got this. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Hashtag we got this. Thank you for the reminder.
Coffee?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, good.
Me and Rebecca, we brought.
The recording has stopped.